So we have the separation ready and we are publishing it whenever we get it set. What we need to do is go to our payments view and start using it. So we have this list, and right now we have only one for each here. What we need to do is create a for each, and then I'm going to pass our view model dot all payment objects. We need to pass ID here because this doesn't conform to identifiable. So we will say that our unique ID is the section name, because each section is uniquely divided, okay? And we will get a payment object in. Okay, so this is the top one. So what we need to do for each section, at the section name we have, for each payment object, we want to create a separate section in our list. So I will create a section with a header and a content. So our header is going to be text, and we're going to construct a text from our payment object here. If you check the ready one, you can see that we have the year dash and then amount. So we say payment object dot section payment object dot section name, and then we put a dash and then another string interpolation, payment object dot section total. And this section total we are going to format currency, and our currency is going to get the code of euro, and like this. And the content will be, our section will have a content, and the content is the second for each, but with one difference. Here we are passing our all payments, but in our for each here we want to pass the payments of our payment object. So we say payment object dot section objects, because this will be the payments that are in that specific section. Just quickly get rid of these empty lines. And now I think, no, it's too early. We forgot to call this view model dot calculate progress separate by year. Let's run our application and see if this will change anything in our view. So we have our section title, which is 2023, the payments, and total is 13,000. Let's create another payment of, let's say 50, but this one I'm going to put in 2024. So we have should have two sections now. So we have 2024 paid 50, and then the row, and then 2023 paid 13,000, and all the rows here. So our section dividing everything into sections are also working fine. The next thing I think we should do is, before we start calculating this, because it's quite a long function of when it's estimated to finish, let's implement the deleting of our list, because right now we cannot delete any payment. So in our inner for each, because we are going to delete only the payments, I want to say on delete, and we are going to perform index in, and let's say view model dot delete item, and here we're going to pass our payment object, this guy here, because remember our item that we want to delete is inside the payment object. Payment object will be our payment object. Oops. And also we want to pass the index this guy here, so we know how to easily get the object that we want to delete. But this will complain because this function doesn't exist. So let's go ahead and create it in our view model. Where is it? This we don't need anymore. Payment view model. So let's do it right on top of this func. And this will be index set because this is what we are receiving. And payment object will be payment object. Okay. If we go back, I think we should get rid of our error. Command P to build, successful. Okay. So let's see what we need to do to get rid of the specific payment inside our payment object. So we need to again make sure, because we are getting an index set, but we are deleting only one row, we need to get the first one from this set. Okay. So let's make sure that we have a first one. Guard let delete index is equals our index, and we want to access the first object, else return. So if for some reason this index set is empty, we want to bail out. Then we want to get the payment that we want to delete. Remember, we have this payment object that includes an array of all the payments inside that payment object. So let's say let payment to delete is equals, I will say payment object dot section objects, which is an array of payments. And then now we can use our delete index. So we get the item that we want to delete. What is our next step is to tell our persistent container to delete that item. So we say persistent controller.shared.view context, and we call delete object, and we need to pass the object. The object we want to delete is payment to delete, and persistent controller shared.save, and then we save it. Okay, so every time our user deletes something, we will delete it from our array. We will actually not delete it from our array, we will get it and delete it from our core data. So we need to some kind of update our current view. So what we need to do is call the set payment, because our all payments has changed. Our loan will be updated with the new items, new payments, and then we want to update our all payments as well. So this array will be updated. Then we want to recalculate our progress bar because we have just deleted something. And then we want to again recalculate our separated by year because we just have deleted something. So we say calculate progress and separate by year. Separate by year. Let's rerun our application. Let's go to loan 1. I'm going to delete this 550. So keep an eye on the... Okay, this got updated. But did you see, maybe it was too small amount. Let's delete something big. Look how the bar will jump now. You see how it's really not nice the way it jumps. So we say with animation, body, and the calculate progress, I want to put it here. Let's rerun. Go to the loan. Let's add the big one. All right, so we have something big. And now let's delete this. You see how the bar slowly goes to the small. So it's much nicer this way when we are deleting with animation. So it just doesn't jump right to the other value. So we provide some kind of animation. Okay, our view model is almost ready. The next thing is left is to calculate how many days left to pay. So let's do it right on top of this delete item. Call it func calculate days. Okay, So here we are, again, we need to make sure that we do have a loan, otherwise we want to go out of this function. And then we are going to take a few parameters here. We want to check the duration of our loan, check from the first day until now how much we have paid, and if we continue that way, how many more days, months is required for us to finish the payment. So this is the idea what we want to do. So again, we need to get the total paid, which is, we can quickly take it from here. Total paid will be all our payments, not only the sections, all our payments, and we'll reduce it to 0. Once we have total paid, we want to see how many days is the total loan length and how many days have passed. So we say let total days is equals to calendar current date components, and here we can pass an array. It's a set actually, and we want to get the day from, and from is going to be loan dot start date. We can, I think, or update is our due date. Let's rename this one. Call this wrapped start date. Sorry. Okay, let's call this start date, and we will just duplicate this and wrapped due date. Actually, no, because we have used this. Let's rename it to wrapped due date, because this way we will rename it everywhere. Now it's failing. For now, I will just give it a default value. But let's go back to our file here. All right, let's try to rename. All right, let's do wrapped due date, Command P, and we can't fix the error manually. All right, and we need to add one more. Wrapped start. All right, so we have wrapped start date. Let's go here and instead says wrapped start date from we gave, and we pass the to loan dot wrapped due date, and we need to get the day. All right, so our total days will be number of days from start date of our loan to due date of our loan. Then we say let, and we need to get the past days, and this will be from the start day of our loan until our current day. So again, let me get this copy. Loan start date, and this will be date. Okay, so we know how many days is total duration and how many days have already passed. And now we need to, I'm going to put one thing in place, because if past days is 0 or total day paid is 0, there is no point of showing, of calculating anything, because there is the loan is brand new and there were no payments. So there is no calculation, there is no value information that you can put into your calculation. So I will say if past days is 0 or total paid is 0, then we say expected to finish is an empty string, and we return, because we don't want to continue, there is no data to use. If, however, we have the loan has passed and we have paid, let's do calculate how much we have paid. So we say let did pay per day, how much we have paid per day, is equals to total paid divided to double of past days. So this will get how much we paid each day. And let's calculate how much we should have paid per day, because we have a total amount, we have a duration of total days, and this will tell us exactly how much we had to pay each day in order to fulfill our loan repayment on its due date. Should pay per day is equals to loan dot total amount divided to double total days. So we have how much we did pay and we have how much we should have paid. All right. So now we say let days left to finish is equals, and we get a loan dot total amount minus total paid divided by did pay per day. And we say let new date is equals. So we need to get when we will finish, because we have the number of days left to pay and we need to convert this into a date. So we say new date is, again, we access our calendar, current, and we want to create a date from by adding day to by adding value int, and we're going to pass our days left to finish, and we add this to our current date. So this will be our new date. We take we add how many days left if we continue this way, and we add it to our current day. And now we say guard let new date is equals to new date. We check if this actually has created a new date. Else, again, we say expected to finish is empty, and we return. Otherwise, if this is all good, we are going to say expected to finish is equals expected to finish by, and we use some string interpolation here, new date dot formatted, and the date we want to get long, time omitted. And calculate days. We need to now call these also inside animation, calculate days, and then I will do that also in my on appear, because we want to calculate right after our progress. Let's say view model dot calculate days. Now let's run our application and let's see if this loan is, I think, 1 day old. This is, let's put some payment here, or this is overdue. Let me just create one new one so we know it's old. This will be 2022 February, and let's say until 2024. Name final test of 50,000. All right, let's do a payment here of 5,000, let's say. Okay, now it calculates expected to finish by February 10, 2032. So we are kind of behind the schedule here. Here, if we go to our view model, if you want to show some kind of information based on if the user is behind schedule or ahead of the schedule, where is our function? Yeah, should pay per day, and we have calculated this. After this, you have an option, say if should pay per day is smaller than did pay per day, then we say we are behind the schedule. Else, you can say we are ahead of the schedule. So you can use this in order if you want to add something extra to this, like you are doing great, the loan is going to as planned, or you are delaying this, etc. So I'm going to leave this information to you. Let's see how our application looks now. So we have a loan. We cannot delete this loan. This is our next thing to do. We can add a loan. We can go to the payment. We can add a payment. We can delete the payment, but we cannot edit the payment. So let's do first, let's do our deleting the loan. All right. So in our all loans view, I'm going to hide this because we don't really need that anymore. So in our all loans view, what I'm going to do is, where is our for each? Here we are going to create on delete perform delete items. So these delete items we don't have yet. Let's underneath create a func delete items, and this is going to provide offset of index set. Because this all loans view, it doesn't really require a view model because there is nothing going on there. That's why I'm putting this function here to delete, because I don't want to create a view model just for this function. So delete items we are calling whenever on delete happens. And what we want to do is, of course, let's do it with animation, because we don't want our row just disappear. We want it animated. So say with animation, and we are going to get offset dot map, and we will say loans, and let's get the index here. We need our curly braces. All right, and for each, all right, for each view context dot delete. So what we say is we go to our loans, and we go to the index set with the get the offset. For every offset, we get the loan from that index, and for each of that loans, we call view context and we delete that. And once we finish our deleting, we should say view context dot save, so that everything will be saved. So let's rerun. What's the problem here? Okay, we need to try and catch, and let's say persistent controller shared, and we call the save from there because we are doing the try and catch thing here already. And rerun. So let's delete our loan number 1, and you see the nice animation, it disappears. Loan number 2, and this disappears as well. Here is our payments that we still have. All right, so the deleting of our loans are done as well. So the last thing remaining for the project to finish is the ability to edit the payment. So whenever I click on this, I should go to the view here, and I should provide the view, the payment that I want to